but he sounds like he's got a British voice, so I automatically don't trust him. I'm just joking, y'all. That's just jokes. Question is, does he have British teeth to match that British voice? And by the way, I can make that joke because I got one British tooth that's in rebellion against the rest. Fall in line there. Oi, rebel tooth. Fall in line there, mate. Now I'm going to, that's Australian. What am I doing? Where's my Cockney at? I gotta get cocky to do the Cockney.
I love George Bush. He's the greatest Christian conservative man on the planet.
And then 10 years later, you're like, oh, dude, bro, red pill, your eyes are glowing, right? Bush, skull and bones, evil, right? Big 9 event, right? So let's rewind back to 2004, and you love George W. Bush, right? And then you're confronted with all of these facts and evidences and arguments and so forth that, hey, wait, maybe actually he's not a good person, right? He's not a humble Christian loving man. You were at a crossroads, right? So you could be like a boomer, as an example. Don't get mad, boomers, just an example. Because when I remember arguing against Bush back in the day, 2003, 4, 5, and all the boomers automatically assume I was a Democrat. I'm like, I'm not a Democrat. What are you talking about? You don't like Bush, you must be a Democrat. You must be one of them Osama bin Ladens. Or all this. What are you talking about? Nothing to do with that. Like, can I argue this on the basis of the facts and evidences about Bush himself, right? Not saying there aren't facts and evidences, right? No brute facts. There are facts. There's no uninterpreted brute facts, right? Well, in this situation, it would require a degree of humility to say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe I've been wrong about OW. Maybe I've been huffing on his mustard gases too long. Some mustard gases. Jakarta, Karachi, Baghdad. Right? Now, a lot of boomers were like, oh, you're just repeating Democratic talking points. Bush is a good old Christian conservative, right? Now, I'm from the Bible Belt. Okay, so if you debate this stuff in 2003, 4, 5 in the Bible Belt, you're going to be ostracized, right? But the point is that at that fork in the road, one had to either embrace a degree of epistemic humility or double down contrary to the incoming machine gun barrage of evidence, as you see. To seek the truth and to avoid error and to identify what behaviors ought to be in the evidence, if our chief cognitive goal is to secure truth, will function to determine how we go about evidences. Virtue and non-virtue approaches to epistemology, thus, are earnest in their efforts to figure out the nature of human learning. Both of these are interested in what one must do to believe rationally and to avoid breaches in the canons of good intellectual conduct. The goals of contemporary epistemology can, without too much difficulty, be integrated with the concepts of pursuing intellectual virtues. For example, the desire that one be justified in one's beliefs seems to indicate an aversion for folly and a wish to avoid the vice of gullibility. So, in other words, one of the good aspects, the good things about modern debates and discussions in epistemology is that we want to avoid being duped, conned, deceived, and we want to have the highest degree of certitude, indubitable certitude, right? The way Descartes put it. But if I'm going to have that as my telos, my end goal, right? To know the truth, to believe the truth, etc., to live in truth, then the key to that pathway, as many of the saints and holy men and elders and sages have said, is actually humility. It's not more reading, more facts, more books, right? The actual key to the path to truth is more humility. because we realize, oh, actually, there's a lot I don't know. There's a lot I need to learn. And there's a mystery involved in this. There really is. Knowledge is ultimately very mysterious, because it's almost like, it's kind of what you see in the apology. To progress towards more certainty actually requires more and more openness to being corrected. And you think, well, that sounds counterintuitive. Shouldn't I double down and convince everybody that I've never lost a debate, I've never been wrong, right? Well, that's actually not accurate. Demonstrates psychological weakness, emotional weakness, because there's nobody who's always been right. That's ridiculous. It doesn't exist. I don't care who you are, especially if you go into academia, and especially if you're having to do philosophy, history, any of the academic scholastic disciplines, you're going to find out you were wrong, and probably wrong in a big way on several things. That's part of the journey and the process. Now, a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, well, then we can never know anything. The opposite extreme must be the case, and I must always perpetually be in self-doubt. No, it doesn't lead to that either, because, again, there's a mystery involved in this, which is that the more humble that you are, the more you actually attain truth. That's the teaching of the saints and the elders. That's the mystery here. And humility, by the way, is not feigning like you talk with a soft voice, like internet people and evangelicals and internet apologists.
Yeah, I just really find the way that Dyer operates to be offensive. And as a humble Christian who prays probably at least 8 hours a day and weeps for his sins probably at least 9 hours a night, I just really find the ortho bro J. Dyer offensive, and he's mean.
I mean, that just oozes Pharisee, right? It's so fake, so inauthentic, so obviously virtue, piety signaling, right?
I would like to debate for 3 hours with you on Twitter how debating is wrong.
Right. And they don't even see the hypocrisy in that. Debating's wrong, but I'm going to spend 3 hours debating with you on Twitter how it's wrong. Okay, whatever, dude. That's not humility. NPR voice, Christianity Today podcast guy.
This is Bob with Christianity Today. I'm going to talk to you today about toxic journeys. We all have toxic journeys in our Christian past, and sometimes that toxic journey can lead us into what seems like a cult. And I hope that through emergent Christianity, and through these words that I heard a bunch of philosophers use, such as toxic, such as emergent, such as faith journey, that you can lighten up and become actually just a mainline normie liberal like me. It is
right, this kind of a thing. This is gross, right? And hopefully people can see through that. That's not a real person. This is an affectation, a persona, right? But amazingly, like, a lot of people fall for that. They fall for, I mean, this is the whole phenomenon of like TV preachers. Like, who, to me, how could anybody fall for this? Because they all look like Steve Martin and Leap of Faith to me, right? But millions of grannies and boomers, and they fall for like TV preachers. I don't understand. It's weird, but that's not humility. Humility is not the tone of your voice and NPR psyops. Okay, humility is like being willing to be wrong. That's it. It's not hand movements, gestures. It's not how loud your voice goes. None of that is humility.